on what is a very, very wet and dreary day today here in Barnsley. Like I say, we've got a serious chance of a lot of rain going to come down very, very quickly. So this might be a very, very, very short stream. So do be prepared. So I do apologise if that does turn out to be the case, but like I say, we've got some very, very dark clouds coming in from this way. I can see you. Good morning to Ben. Good morning to Prack. I think that's how you say it, so pronounce it. Good morning to you both. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome. Oh, it's your birthday today. Was that? Sorry, Romano. Good morning. Good morning to you, and happy birthday to you. Yes, it's my birthday tomorrow. So I thought, why not have a there we go, a pre-birthday stream. Like I say, it's going to be my first lockdown birthday. Like I say, it's strange to think. This time last year, I was actually down in Nottingham. Oh, there we go. 21 again. Yes. Good morning to everyone. Yes, thank you for the birthday wishes. Like I say, we've got someone else whose birthday is today, so make sure you wish them a very happy birthday today. Oh, and like I say, it's, I don't know if you can hear, like I said, absolutely tipped it down yesterday. Like I say, you can see that there. So this is the state of the field this morning. So you can forgive me if I'm not all that attentive to the camera this morning, because I'm trying to watch where I'm stepping, just to make sure I don't sink into the mud. Oh. But anyway, hopefully you've all had a very, very good week. And like I say, it's the 1 year anniversary almost. And like I say, I think everyone will agree what a strange and bizarre year it's really been. I'm Boris Special Envoy to Washington. I'm sure that's going to end well. I'm sure that's going to end well. But yeah, it's been such a bizarre year, because like I say, this time last year, me and my friend, we went down to Warhammer World down in Nottingham. In fact, this time last year we were probably on our way down, travelling our way down. And the last time I actually got to play a game of Warhammer 40k in person. So it's been quite some time. Yes. Of course, yes, we are predating the what came to be known the toilet roll rush. Of course. You are right. But yeah, what a weird year it's been, and all the more worrying, I think, for Boris's plan to essentially rush us all to get vaccinated and get us back to work as quickly as possible. Because this is the problem when you run, your government is stacked full and run basically full of free market fundamentalists. They don't really care about the people. They just care about, are you able to get to work or not, and essentially work, That's why the schools, that's why they've been so desperate to get the schools back up and running as quickly as possible, because then that's childcare sorted. And you know, the quicker that we can shove people back into the places of work, of course, as I've said very worryingly, and even Patrick Vallance agrees with me on this, that if we move too fast, in this situation, we could see a massive spike in COVID in the UK, and that's the worrying part of this. And then, of course, you've got the fact: what if we get a mutation? Because we've already had. I mean, there's COVID-19 itself. We know that there's a Brazilian variant. We know that there's a British variant, and I think there's maybe 2 others, from what I remember. But you know, this is the bizarre situation that we've got ourselves into. And if Boris decides, you know, to rush all this, which he is, because he's being pushed along by the coronavirus recovery group that's now in his party. And of course, the worrying thing with them is that they have specifically said that they do not want to go backwards on lockdown measures. So if things start to get worse, or if the vaccine, let's say a variant comes along now and decides to basically mutates and renders the vaccine useless, then that's all the hard work of vaccinating people gone to the wall, essentially. And that is the very, very worrying thing, because what a lot of people, and I must stress this, just because you've had your first jab does not mean you are fully vaccinated. Once you've had your second jab and you've had about, I think it's 14 days, that is when the vaccine is fully meant to take effect. So even though you have had your first vaccination, please, please, please do not think that you are now immune to COVID and, you know, think that you can, you know, get back to normal, get back to some sort of reality. Please do take care. Please do make sure that you do go and get that second jab as well, because that's the next worrying thing, is that will people turn up to have their second jab? So far we haven't seen that yet, but hopefully we will have some sort of you know, good take up on vaccines. Like I say, we've got a good history of vaccine approval ratings, even though we did have the MMR jab scare a couple of years ago. Well, a couple of years ago now. Like I say, we managed to get that very quickly under wraps. Very quickly. Yes. Was it Helena? Yeah. Good for you, Helena. Like I say, a lot of people really do not realise until you've had your second jab, you're not fully vaccinated. So good for you, Helena. And like I say, it is really difficult because, like, even myself, I don't think I'm going to have my jab for at least the next couple of months. And like I say, as far as I'm aware at the moment, my trip to Japan in November is still on, fingers crossed. So looking forward to that, and don't worry, I will do some videos from Japan, maybe even a live stream or two while I'm over there. So that's something again for me to look forward to, at least, and for you as well. And I think it was Gene T. Good morning to you from Hamburg. Good morning and welcome. But yes, more or less, things on the Brexit front have been rather quiet this week, and I think more or less that has been because of the fact that, you know, for those of you who may not be aware, the Road Haulage Association yesterday, well, at the beginning of the week, shall we say, came out and said, hey, look, we're seeing a massive drop in our exports. You know, most of the trucks that are coming here normally would go back with a full load. However, we're seeing trucks go back to Europe with either half loads or completely empty. And of course, the government responded by saying that they didn't believe those numbers. They didn't believe that fact. And of course, that always played into the old Michael Gove chestnut. Yeah, that's also a thing as well. Boris trying to rip up the Good Friday Agreement. Yeah, that's incredibly worrying as well. You know, that played into the old Gove chestnut of people are fed up of experts. But as was it Tony Blair? I think it was Tony Blair that said it. Oh, you just watched the failed state video, the 19-minute ones. Oh, I'm glad you liked it. But yeah, we've got some serious problems with our government essentially refusing to accept facts. The fact that there has been a massive drop in exports. We've now seen a 40% drop in our exports. And the worrying thing is, just a few weeks ago, we went over the talk of an economist and essentially what he said. And he said that the best worst case scenario for Britain in Brexit essentially boils down to this. Less exports means less trade, which means less investment, which means less jobs and a smaller economy. That is going to have a massive knock-on effect for so many people in this country. And as we've said before, even though we're run by, as we said, free market fundamentalists, they don't really understand the market itself, and they themselves, I don't know if people remember or not, Jacob Rees-Mogg must have been after the start of Brexit about 2 or 3 years ago, literally came out and said, oh, what we need to do is we need to start investing in these new emerging markets. And you're like, hold on. This is a guy who's been bigging up Britain as a place to do business, and then he's saying that we should go and invest in these emerging markets. So rather than put money into this country, we should put money into other countries and create jobs there. Yeah, fantastic economical advice as usual from Jacob Rees-Mogg, the man who ran his own investing firm, and when he ran it, didn't make a profit for the time that he was in charge. And yet the guy before him was making a profit, and then the guy that took over him, like as soon as he took over, was making a profit. But that's the other thing as well, with Boris and the Conservatives very eager to get people back to work. As you all know, lots of companies in December, wow, I hadn't realised that's gotten very high and that's flowing very fast. Wow. I don't know if you can see that, but wow, that's very worrying. But yeah, the where were we now? Yes, investing conditions. I've lost my place after that river. Wow, that is very high indeed. So, yeah, that's it. Jacob Rees-Mogg and his investment firm. Yeah, so if Jacob Rees-Mogg can't run an investment firm, which essentially all he had to do was not even invest. At Bowler Hat Man, is there snow in the mountains? I don't really think so. Like I say, the area I'm from is not very mountainous. But I think it's because of the amount of rain we've been having recently. And like I say, there is expected at some point today to be another deluge. Like I say, when I got up this morning, it was absolutely siling it down. Oh wow, it's even fuller here. So just go here and show you. You can see how full it is there. That's incredibly high. That's the highest I've seen that even since last time it was since we had bad weather this bad, so that could get even worse. Of course, it's even reaching the other bank and flooding the other areas there. So wow, that's yeah. Ooh. Yes. Anyway, we've had some other people joining us. Been wished happy birthday from Charlotte, Carolina, USA. Good morning to you from there. Oh, that's always. Should we dive into that? I think we should. So, Pranix just asked a good question. Do you think Keir Starmer can lead Labour back to government? I absolutely think that he can. The problem is as I keep on saying, he needs to put out policies. He needs to lay out what Labour is, what Labour stands for, and so that people know what, who they are. Why should people vote for them? Because it's very, very concerning at the moment that we're coming up to local elections and the Conservatives still have a double-digit lead, even though we have been absolutely well and truly hammered by the pandemic. We've got the third highest death rate in the world. We've had the hardest hit to our economy out of not only in the world, but out of most European countries. So how the Conservatives have still managed to keep this lead is and should be very, very worrying for Labour. Because what they need are good policies. And we know and we've seen that people want good progressive policies. Under Corbyn, when his policies were talked about and not attached to Labour or Corbyn, people agreed. People were all for renationalising the railway. The problem is, the second Labour or Corbyn was mentioned in the same breadth of doing it, they just weren't for it. But people are for renationalising the railways because it has been an absolute disaster. And that was something that the Conservatives did under Margaret Thatcher. And as I have said before, I am really worried that eventually the next general election should be very, very easy. It should be the easiest election the Labour government ever has to fight against an incumbent Conservative government. It should be the easiest thing in the world. But I really, really worry what's going to happen. I really do worry what's going to happen to them. because I think they're going to drop the ball. And someone just posted an excellent question there about policies. All right, a second, let me get to it, because I think this is part of the problem. So Patrick H. Policies are great, but it's 3.5 years to the next election. You'll give the Tories and their puppets in the press all the time to position the public against their own interests. Here's the thing. We need to tell the public exactly what Labour stands for, because as you saw in the leaked Labour change-up thing, one of the key things that the public said and responded to them was they did not know what Labour stood for. One of the best ways you tell a voting public what you stand for is for your policies. And here's the thing. If you put out good policies and you sell them right, it does not matter that the Tories and the people in their press complain about them, tell them that they're awful and they're terrible, because you can fight back against that. We can spend the next 3.5 years telling them, hey, we're going to do this when we get in power. So didn't Corbyn have good policies? Yes, he did have good policies. We'll get to that in a moment. So if you've got those policies, you can get people advocating for them. You can get people, telling you, say, hey, if you get these policies online, this is what's going to happen. This is what it's going to mean to elect a Labour government. And the problem was, during Corbyn, especially the Corbyn years, was that his own party, MPs in his own party, would not back his policy position. He got absolutely, completely, destroyed in the press. And I agree that he got absolutely destroyed in the press, partly because his own MPs wouldn't stand up for him because they wanted to get rid of him. We had a party that did not want to win because they did not want Jeremy Corbyn to be Prime Minister. Not only that, but I've said this before, people hate Alistair Campbell. And I agree, if you don't like Alistair Campbell, okay, there's good reasons not to like him. He was like the Labour pinmeister for all those, spinmeister, shall we say, for all these years. Here's the thing, Corbyn needed his own spin doctor. And yet Momentum was very, very against actually getting hold of a spin doctor for Jeremy and getting him to explain those positions, because if he had had a good press officer, or maybe they did have press officers in there, but they either weren't experienced enough to handle the situation, or they just got completely outplayed, it's possible. But hey, that's what happened. And like I say, even if you do release policies, Labour even now is getting mullered by the Tories and the press. So even if they do release policies, it doesn't really change anything, but it changes the position of, this is what Labour stands for. This is what we are going to do when we get into government. And I am hoping that the May coming up elections will give a really good indication of of where we are. And now, what was that, Son of Viking? So you're advocating spin. Oh, what a tangled web we leave. Thing is, you've got to spin your policies in a good way. You've got to outspin the Conservatives. You've got to outspin the right-wing press. If you don't do that, you've lost the battle before you've even started. One of the things that the Tories and the right-wing press hated about Tony Blair was that they said he was too good at spin. And that was before he was elected in 1997. No, you don't. No, here's the thing. You don't outlie the liars, because here's the thing. Because we're on the left, we don't have to lie. We just have to tell the truth, and we have to find a better way to sell our policies. The best example I can think of is the free broadband policy that Labour was going to do last election. Now that got turned into an absolute joke, and that is an example of what happens when you don't outspin the Tories, because it was turned into an absolute joke. It was joked about everywhere, but it was sold wrong. What it should have been sold as was, hey, you're for education, aren't you? Well, why not give everyone in this country access to the best educational tool available, and that's the internet. Not only that, we provide public libraries, so should there not be a public internet for people to access? That is how it should have been sold, but it wasn't. It was sold completely wrong, and that is one of the main problems I hope Labour can get over, because if they can do that, they can put forward really good policies, and they don't even, everyone's saying that I'm going to lie. No, you don't lie, you just sell your policies better than the Conservatives. So even when they lie about you, their lies are proven false instantly, and you can just turn around and say, but that's not true because of this. This is what I want. I'm constantly advocating for. You've got to tell and sell your policies properly in a way that communicates to people, so people know exactly what you're advocating for. For example, everyone unilaterally hates the railway system at the moment. They hate, absolutely hate with a passion. So the best thing to do is to renationalise the railways. Corbyn had a full plan of how he intended to do it, of how it was going to happen, of the timetable of when Labour got into power from passing the bill, of how it was going to work, how it was going to affect it, the investment that was going to go into it. The problem was that it was too much information. And I agree that information didn't need to be there. The problem was there needed to be another level which said, hey, we're going to renationalise the railway system, and this is what it's going to mean for you. That's how it should have been done, but unfortunately it didn't go that way. And like I say, because we're on the left, we do not have to lie about our positions. The Conservatives do, but we don't. We have good policy positions that just need to be sold to the public better. And you are right, the Daily Mail will scream tax rises. But if you tell to people, it's going to mean tax rises, but this is what it's going to mean to you in the long run, then people won't mind that tax rise. Anyway, thank you, Mini Sabari, I think that's how you say it. Thank you for that €10. Good morning, and have yourself a good birthday. Good birthday as possible under the circumstances. Don't worry, I will do. Like I say, it's my first lockdown birthday, but I have to turn the camera around for a second because the river here is absolutely overflowing here. Let me just see if this works. Let's see. Hang on. There we go. So there. As you can see, the river is completely overflowing. And like I say, that tree down there, where I'm pointing, normally we could walk to there. We could literally stand next to that tree. But as you can see, it's all completely underwater. Oh, yeah. So, the thing is, we live in an age, in a very, very, very PR-driven age. Now, probably more so than ever. And the problem is that the Tories are ahead of us when it comes to that PR push, and as we saw under Ed Miliband. Ed Miliband, again, another perfect example. Ed Miliband had an amazing policy to help solve the housing crisis, which was to essentially, if land, I've talked about this before, property development companies go out and basically speculatively buy land. And the thing is, they don't build on it. What they do is they leave it until as late as possible, and then they start to build houses. I've said before, there's an estate being built near me. It was labelled to start building on about 15 years ago. They only started about 7 years ago, and they are still building houses because they are building them one by one as to not devalue the property prices in the area by creating too much housing so that it drops the price. Ed Miliband's plan for this was any property development site that is basically empty for more than 5 years gets reverted to the council. Now, instantly, the Tories and the right-wing press decried it as communism. They said, oh, it's Red Ed coming to take land and property and give it back to the people. Now, fast forward a couple of years later, and Theresa May, of all people, releases the exact same policies as Ed Miliband had. And yet the press praised her. The people who had called Ed Miliband a communist for those policies, they're praising her as being able to, this will solve the housing crisis. Yet it was the exact same policies. Of course, it didn't go through. Because, like I say, the last thing the Tories actually want to do is create a better housing environment. Because, like I say, most of the Tories on there, in fact, about 80% of all Tory MPs are landlords. So, shows you if they're going to vote for something that would, shall we say, damage their back pocket, they're not going to vote for it. But that just goes to show you the type of thing we need to do. Because if you don't do that, but two of the exact same policies from, Ed Miliband got called a communist, Theresa May got called the saviour and the solution to the housing crisis, even though it was the exact same policy. If we are to get better and to get elected as Labour and get Labour into power, then Labour has to play that game as well. It has to get to a point where even if, let's say Keir Starmer reiterates that policy that Ed Miliband had and gets called a communist, Keir Starmer should be able to turn around and just say, well, hang on, Theresa May advocated that same thing. Why didn't you call her a communist? It was the exact same policy. And of course that wouldn't be necessarily be the attack, but they need people in place. Oh. It's very windy. Hopefully you can hear me. There we go. And I'll give you another example of where I think Labour's failing. And I don't want to do a video about this, but I'll give you an insight into some of essentially what I'm going to say. So this week, Labour officially launched its local election campaign, and essentially they had a live stream with Keir Starmer on Facebook, where they had journalists come and asking questions answered. The problem was, this was only broadcast on Facebook. And I'm like, guys, you do realise there's more than just Facebook to live stream onto. Oh wow, thank you for that. Is that North Korean money? 50 NDK. I don't know what that is. I've never seen that before. But anyway, thank you. Have a very sophisticated, socially distanced birthday. Thank you very much, Son of Viking. Yeah, I've never seen that denomination of money before. NOK. I'm pretty sure that's North Korean money. But anyway, thank you anyway. I will, like I say, tomorrow I'm definitely going to enjoy my birthday. Probably for the first time in a long time, have a very, very quiet one and not do anything. Oh, it's Norwegian money. Okay. I'm sorry, I've never seen that donation before. Yeah. Norwegian Yorkshire pounds. That's true. Yeah. Well, don't worry. When we re-establish the Danelaw in a couple of years' time, after Britain becomes essentially a failed state, and the Norwegians re-invade in their very stylish IKEA furnished longboats, although that's Switzerland, but not Switzerland, Swedish. I'm sure we'll be seeing all those very Norwegian Yorkshire pounds. Oh. Dude, so I'm going to be claiming to be Scottish. I do actually have Scottish ancestry, so if they do a dual passport system like they did with Northern Ireland, then I am 100% claiming Scottish ancestry. I am 110% claiming that. Are you kidding? I want that passport. And like I've always said, if I ever found the right job in Ireland or Scotland, I'd move. I really love Edinburgh as a city. I've been up to Aberdeen a couple of times as well, and I really liked it up there. So if I ever found the right job, I'd absolutely move up there. Yeah, well, that's what, to be honest, Scotland should be doing. Scotland should be taking the north of England with it, because Scotland would end up in a far better off economic position if it essentially took the north of England and just called it Southern Scotland. yeah, it's more than likely, I think, we are going to see the breakup of the United Kingdom. I think that's very, very obvious to people. Yeah, yeah, and the Scottish border at Birmingham. Yeah, that is true. And like I say, it's going to be incredibly embarrassing for Johnson and the party if it does that. Oh, is that Max? I think that was Max. Just scroll past. Oh no. Rata says, do you think Scotland will be able to get independence? Hope so. Hello from Italy. It probably will, given essentially the fact everything that's going on. And then an independent Scotland is a different topic of conversation completely. Because as I always got on at the Brexiteers for not telling the truth and spinning a fantasy about what a Brexit Britain could be, I get on at the SNP for spinning the exact same thing, that an independent Scotland's going to be easy. No, it's not. And I don't think Scotland will fail or anything like that. I just think that if they do gain independence, that means everything that comes with it. And I think a lot of those types of people really don't like to talk about and the then what. And I think that if you are going to advocate for independence, I think you then also have to talk about the then what and what that means for an independent Scotland. Because if Scotland does go independent, that immediately means a border between Scotland and England. And 95% of Scotland's trade is done with England. And if they want to join the customs union and be in the single market and join the EU, that will absolutely mean a hard border and checks. And that means possibly the exact same situation you're seeing in Northern Ireland at the moment, with companies having difficulty not only exporting but importing as well. And they don't like to talk about that fact. And I find that very strange, because if you are going to advocate for independence, and like I say, I fully support there being a second referendum, have at it. But they should not be afraid or downplay the fact of talk about the what if, what happens beyond that. That's my, and always is my argument against it, that they don't like to talk about the then what. So it just goes on to just see really what happens. I mean, as someone just said, the DUP are freaking out. Of course they are. I mean, you've had unionist paramilitaries, we talked about this last week, pulling out of the Good Friday Agreement. That should be sending warning bells running through Westminster. But it's not, and that's the worrying thing, because if, to the Brexiteers, if getting Brexit means ditching Northern Ireland, then they will absolutely ditch Northern Ireland. If it means ditching Scotland as well, they will absolutely ditch Scotland. To them, there is no there is no too high a price to pay for Brexit. And that's part of the problem that we're dealing with fantasists at the moment, because they want to set out what is essentially an idea for economic powers and ideas that they have. But the problem is, we've seen what happens in other countries where they do this. We've seen for the past 10 years what austerity has meant. And like I say, make no mistakes or no bones about it. You know, come, I think, next year, we are going to see a huge austerity budget. And as I've always said, the Tories do not want to spend money, but they're okay with spending a bit of money, just not enough to make stuff work. And that's what we've seen with the new Towns Fund. All this money is being funneled to Conservative seats to keep them happy. You know, all is happy in Brexit land so long as the blue seats keep blue. And like I say, they do not mind if they lose the red wall next year, because they will still have a majority, although be it a somewhat more slimmer one. And like I say, we have to make sure that next year, well, not the next general election, we have to take back those red wall seats as well as other seats that get us into power. Or else, well, I think we're in for another incredibly bad years of just, you know, no go. No, it's going to be absolutely terrible. And things are already bad for a lot of people throughout this country. Yes, the boundary changes, yes, the gerrymandering that's going on is quite worrying as well, because a lot of the seats they're doing it in are in those red wall seats, and they're trying to figure out how they can adjust them so that they can essentially win again, albeit very easy. And as we've said before on this channel, the problem with first past the post is that it normally takes about 17,000 votes for a Conservative to win a seat. It normally takes an extra 25,000 votes for a Labour MP to win a seat. And that's worrying. That's our current system. That is why I'm constantly advocating for changing our voting system to proportional representation or single transferable vote system. I think that is the best way to go forward, and that is what I am constantly advocating for. Anyway, I haven't realised, but we're zooming around now. We're close to the end of our good morning walk today, so please do remember to hit that like button as well. Helps every little bit. And of course, if you'd like to support the channel another way, there are links down below to my Patreon page, as well as a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where if you wanted to, you could buy me a birthday coffee for tomorrow. And like I say, thank you to everyone who does support the channel that way, or just hits that like button. Like I say, as I say at Tesco's, every little helps. No ponies today. They're not out today. Like I say, I'm not surprised. The ground is so water. Is that better? Is that better? Excellent, we're back. I'll just have to use it now without microphone. Like I said, I don't know where this microphone. Seems very, very temperamental. microphone. So we'll go under the bridge for the big finish. So like I say, that's why I've joined the Labour Party. I always have said it. If you want to change and affect change in the UK, then there's two things you've got to come to realise. One, Labour is the only way that we are going to affect any real political change. So I advocate for people joining the Labour Party. And once you're in there, you can then advocate for change. They said under Corbyn, on a lot of stuff that we did, under a lot of the MPs that were elected, that those MPs would never be elected. And yet they were. So there's people and MPs there in the party that do care and are leftists and do care about what people do. The second thing is, you do not have, if you think that you can only affect change like once every 4 or 5 years or so, then you're wrong. You can affect change every single day in politics. You just have to actually work at it and do it. And there is a huge problem in the UK with political apathy. And that is one thing that we have to deal with and we have to get rid of. So those are if you take away anything from the video today, at least take away those two top tips, shall we say. So, as is always, have an absolutely fantastic weekend. It's going to be my birthday tomorrow, so I'm going to enjoy myself tomorrow. It's my first lockdown birthday, officially. Like I say, this time last year I was on my way down to Nottingham to Warhammer World to play a game of 40k. The last game I actually played of 40k, at least for a year. Oh, hang on. There we go. So, thank you, as always, very much for joining me on this good morning walk. I do apologise for the sound at the end. Like I say, I don't know if it's a problem with this mic or whatever. I might have to look into more alternatives. Like I say, we did get that microphone initially to try and solve the sound problems. It has been working, but for some reason it decides every so often to throw a hissy fit like it's just done. So, as is always, have an absolutely corker of a weekend. Do please remember to hit that like button on your way out. And of course, if you can't be safe, be sensible. And I'll see you all next weekend for another fantastic good morning walk.